Live?
Got a minute?
Okay. Yep, boss said it's 5 o'clock. I'll call a meeting to order of adoption of the agenda. Need a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Carried. Accepting the minutes from the previous meeting, approval of council minutes, regular meeting of May 27th, 2025. Mover and second. Any discussions? All in favor? Carried. Business arising from the minutes. First one is A, resolution to proceed with filling of the vacant council seat.
Do have a resolution here. If I could get a mover and a seconder to table. Councillor Kelly. Mayor Rogers.
You'll read that one.
Yes. Whereas council declared a seat vacant in the office of council on May 27th, 2025. And whereas council is required to fill the vacancy as per section 263(5) of the Municipal Act. And whereas council adopted the council vacancy policy that establishes the processes for filling a vacant seat on May 8th, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that council proceeds with option 6.1B of the council vacancy policy to appoint an election candidate who received the most number of votes in the last municipal election, but was not elected. And further that election candidate Nick Brazo be appointed to council for the remainder of the council term upon the passing of an appointing bylaw and verbal declaration of oath of office.
Discussion on the motion? See none? All in favor? B, bylaw 2025, first, second, and third reading.
Bring a seconder, please. Councillor Trahan and Deputy Mayor Garris. Where the council for the municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to appoint Nick Brazo as member of council for the remainder of the 2022-2026 term of council be read a first, second, and third time, passed in number 2025-34, and that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
Discussion on the motion? David read. Carried. C, oath of the office, Mr. Nick Brazo.
Call Nick forward to have a seat at the council table. You have an oath of office here for you, Nick, so I'll just get you to read this out loud and then sign below here.
Okay. I, Nick Brazo, have been elected to the office council for the corporation of the municipality of East Ferris, do solemnly promise to declare that will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment, reward, promise thereof for the exercise of the office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any precautionary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make the solemn promise and declare
Conscientiously?
yeah, I know, I'm very nervous.
Don't be.
To be true and knowing that is it of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
So you are officially a member of council. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank
you.
Congratulations, Mr. Brazo.
Thank you.
Welcome to the team. We have a great council, we have a great staff, and I'm sure you'll fit in quite comfortably. He doesn't have an iPad. Does he want to use mine?
No, you can use mine.
Is it yours? Okay.
He has a.
I have a picture.
Oh, you got a paper copy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Right, so we'll carry on. Item 5. Sorry?
Just two business arising from the minute,
Okay.
that's okay? So just a progress on the internet. Have we,
I've not got an update from Bell as of yet, but I did get an update from Net Spectrum that there's no work scheduled for 2025 in these fairs. They got funding, they approved funding applications for other areas. I'm not quite sure where the areas are, and they were granted the funding. So they've got to jump on that work and get that work done. So later on this year, we'll discuss what's up for next year, if there's anything in these fairs for 2026. So that's what, for Net Spectrum, that is.
okay. Second thing was about the Christmas party, if I can read it again, is that I get that, we've passed a budget, but usually they have room to make adjustments in that budget, right? So I just wanted to bring up, because somebody had brought it up to me, that the DJ part of the dance is not as popular as it used to be. So just wondering if about giving direction to the staff to explore options within the budget that's already set about the Christmas party.
Not sure what you're asking.
So I'm asking that the budget has already been set. So last time we talked about the Christmas party, you said, well, that's already been discussed in budget, but the money has been set, but the actual process of the Christmas party has not been set. And so would it be that the staff look at the Christmas party and see what they would like to do with that money, if it's something different than has been done in the past?
I'm open for suggestions. Anybody else have a comment?
I don't know, what kind of options are you looking at, or?
Well, somebody had mentioned just not having, so so when I go to the Christmas party, as soon as the music starts, I usually head out because I find it too loud. I can't talk to anybody. And we're not dancers, so we usually leave. And somebody had mentioned that most people leave. And maybe, because that would be an expensive part of the budget, maybe it's that money for the DJ is better used for something else, like just a sit-down dinner that all the staff can sit down and it be catered and served so that staff don't have to work it. And it ends. So I just wanted to see if there were options available that they would have movement within that budget and and look at it and see if there is a better way of doing the Christmas party.
Yeah, well, I guess we can take a look at it. I just come back from a meeting on Monday night for the Knights of Columbus, and they're actually getting bigger, and they're going with a band this year because they're a way to getting back to the community, back to the volunteers, and that's what they're doing. So we can get the staff to take a look at it, I'm sure, but I mean, something we got to get brought up before the budgets are done, and decisions should be done at that time, that we don't want to do that, right?
Well, the budget is usually they set amount of money and then the staff do what they want with it, right? And so I just wanted to sort of open it for discussion to see if there's a different way to do the Christmas party that everybody could enjoy. And
Okay, well, we can do is we can ask the staff if they want to look at something different, and maybe have a,
People who usually have go to the Christmas party.
for me,
How many people do we usually have at the Christmas party, Jay?
Varies every year. Last year was about 80?
80? So,
But it's like, if you look at how many are invited, there's a lot more invited. Tens.
and then
Every
last year, there was a DJ, I assume.
Yeah.
How many people stuck around? I know probably some of you guys must have stuck around.
it stayed,
People was there for the dance.
it changes as it goes on, is it? The only thing it changes, the only thing I'd like to see different is that we used to have the Corbeil Park Hall.
Yep.
So the arena.
Yeah.
Feels like it's fuller at the Corbeil. It's if we get 120 invitees, so if they all come, it's not big enough.
That's right.
You're not sure until the numbers are there. And if you're gonna change it, the dates and the places, well, it's already rented out here. So it's kind of a combination, what's better for us. Doesn't cost us anything for the hall, doesn't cost anything for the kitchen. It's just basically what it costs per plate. and the DJ.
Yeah.
There's the cost. I know the staff does a lot of work in it, but
So there's people that stick around for the dance.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Years ago, I mean, we, like the mayor said, we moved from Coral Park Hall to the arena because we had more than what the capacity was, but it's dwindled. I mean, they're kind of over the years, you know, we're looking at around 80 people that go now, and so we were about 130. That's why we moved it. So.
if you would like to, we'll get the staff meeting,
Yeah.
some brainstorming. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, thank you. It's one of the only time that all our volunteers get together. And it's a way of saying thank you to everyone. You're always going to get a fluctuation. We had to move it from the Corbeil Hall, you're right, because of the numbers. And a lot of times it's age fluctuation or other commitments and so forth. A lot of people in business have a Christmas party the same night. But it's still a way that a lot of the majority of people stick around for the DJ and the dancing. And they socialize and they sit, it's in between. But a lot of them stick into the last, the bus arrives at 12 o'clock, I believe, 11 o'clock or 12.
We ended at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. And as I say, it's just a way of the municipality saying thank you. Because quite frankly, we couldn't afford to pay what our volunteers do in this community. And it's been that way since day one. I'm in favor of just leaving it the way it is. It's going to be a fluctuation of numbers, and that's on a yearly basis. And that's over on the fire department and so forth. That's for me, that's like 25, 30 years experience. So
Okay, well,
I'm fine with it the way it is.
if you'd like to, we can have staff look at it and bring something back for the next meeting. Is that fair enough?
Doesn't have to even be for the next meeting, like it could be,
But you got, the thing is, if you get a DJ or whatever, you got to book now, or you don't get them. That's the problem you run into, right? Okay, that's the feeling of the. Need a motion for that, right?
Yes, please.
Yeah, the Knights of Columbus are moving into the arena this year.
Oh, good. Numbers are up. Good to see. They've done a lot of good in the community. Done a lot of good things.
A lot grayer people, but. Be Catholic?
Yes.
Good, there you go. You can join.
Brenda Sanger, please. By Deputy Mayor Royager, seconded by Councillor Trahan, that council directs staff to review options in lieu of a dance for the municipal staff and volunteer Christmas party, and further that information be brought back to council for discussion.
Any other discussions? Where's Red? There. Right, declaration of conflict of interest. Somebody sees something, bring it up at that time. Not announcements and updates of council members. Anybody have anything to bring up? Go ahead.
so raising of the Francophone flag is Tuesday, June 20th, I think it is. Just wanted to, because we won't be meeting before then. It's Participation Month, so I've seen some great Facebook posts from the municipality about getting active. So just to remind people about that, and I think there's yoga in the park, kids pickleball or open pickleball at the East Ferris Library, and other activities. So it's important to get active and be out there. And then I was driving by back and forth on the weekend and saw the East Ferris Fire and Emergency Services had their live fire training. So there was a lot of smoke coming across Corbeil, but it looked like it was well attended. So I thought mentioning that, and it looked well organized, so.
I'm sure
Yes.
Tran's gonna bring it up under fire.
Yeah, so the smoke trailer was captured from the Ontario Fire Marshal's office from our fire department. And it was well attended. It's an annual thing, but it moves around to different municipalities and townships. So it's great training. Terry and I both went through it in numerous years. It's a valuable experience training for other municipalities. It's great this year because we had a lot of new recruits on our fire service this year. So it was they were able to get in and out and get exposed to some of the temperatures where you're fighting a structure fire that exposes them. So it's a controlled atmosphere. There's tons of ways to get out of it. It shows how do you take off your SCBA bottles from your pack, how to get into small containment. It gets you into areas where it's almost like a maze inside this trailer. So it gets you into certain areas where they get you to control your breathing and be able to use your oxygen to the fullest capabilities as possible. So thanks to the Ontario Fire Marshal's office for getting that the trailer here. Thanks to our fire department. Thanks to the other fire departments that attend and was able to capture that training. So it was right through the whole weekend. So it was good. I touched base with the chief and everything went really well, and they're looking forward to hopefully for the next year. So, Terry?
I just think, I think through you, Steve, do you think a letter of thanks would be in order from council to the fire marshal's office?
Well, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like it's you know, everybody's I guess invested into that. So it's great that we're able in our mutual aid group, we're able to capture that trailer and get it in our area for our you know, municipalities and townships to be able to use. So absolutely, for sure.
And as you say, it's live training, so
Yes,
people don't realize that a fire.
Very valuable.
In front of your face.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. And it shows, you know, it shows the firefighters what capabilities, right? Your capabilities are where you're at. So it tells you right off the bat whether you're going to be an interior or exterior person. So
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Nick, I know you're new, but good way to if you like. Just got two things to bring up. One, the bike tournament was 2 weekends ago in Nashville. It was very well attended, getting 122 teams. And everybody was commenting about our two South Shore docks. And it was so nice that two people were coming in and leaving, and there was no big lineup. I remember coming out, usually big waiting line is like a bottleneck, but between Big Moose Road and South Shore. And big thanks to the hunters and anglers. They did a great job again this year and bring a lot to the community too. So. And the other thing I had was this Friday is the Great Mattawa River Canoe Race from North Bay to Mattawa. So that'll be going through Trout Lake and that. So we're invited to go to the opening at 7 o'clock in the morning where they shoot out, but I don't think I'm going to go that early, and maybe I'll just go to McPherson Drive and wave at them when they go by. Again, it's this weekend coming up. So that's all I have for myself.
I think just when you said the anglers and hunters, they have an open house this week on Saturday, June 14th, 11 or 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock, and it's a youth outdoor club. So they're looking to engage the youth in our community. So I think that's a really important, another great thing they're doing.
No, the hunters and anglers do a lot for their community, for sure. Okay, that's it. Okay, we'll carry on to delegations. We have Mr. Floyd, read for the raise. You want to do raising? You can step up here and just be sure that you're polite to council. That's all we're asking. Okay.
Thanks. I know you weren't involved in this vote, but hopefully you listen to my words and become a vote in favor of compliance. I'm here to speak to you about the importance of raising the pride flag for the entirety of June. It's Pride Month, after all. Throughout this process, I've been told that these things take time. When giving my speech about the flag flying, North Bay Mayor Peter Chirico was quick to tell me, single day flying in North Bay is a matter of policy. Change is incremental. And I'm told that the rules are as the rules say. I disagree on both of these points. Yes, change is incremental, but only when people are incrementing it. Jack Doherty and Deputy Mayor Lauren Royakers have both put forward motions to fly the flag for a full month, only to have it denied by the majority. From a 3-2 vote to not fly it last year to a 5-0 for a single day flying this year, the council has denied yet again another 30-day request. This troubling downward trend from the East Ferris Council is why I'm here asking you for you to listen, and I mean truly listen. I can't speak to council members' intentions beyond the statements provided to the press. And while I fundamentally disagree with Councillor Terry Kelly and Steve Durhan, I at least have heard their opinion, unlike Mayor Rick Champagne, who has yet to provide a statement on his stance and was not in attendance during the single day flag raising event, June 2nd, 2025. Councillor Kelly, you claim that my community only accounts for 3% of the population and that you don't see any reason for the flag flying on municipal property. In good faith, I'll provide you with accurate, evidence-based information demonstrating the importance of showing prolonged support to the 2S LGBTQ+ community in the form of a month-long pride flag raising on municipal property. Firstly, the lack of people in a marginalized group should not be justification for their exclusion. In fact, the smaller a demographic is, the harder we have to listen to their quiet voices. It's made evident by the majority of you outright denying last year's request. Moreover, Statistics Canada's 2019 to 2021 census puts the number of queer people at 4.4%, not the 3% you claim. And additionally, this is a low estimate because closeted people wish to not divulge that information and because the Canadian government has a history of targeting queer individuals. More on that later. If we do the basic math, 4.4% of 365 days means that 16 days should be the bare minimum to recognize my community. But I'm not looking for 1 week and I'm not looking for 2. I'm looking for the council for solidarity of our 2S LGBTQ+ members, and that means flying the flag for the entirety of Pride Month. Flags provide visibility to vulnerable individuals who have systematically been excluded from public life. The flag acknowledges queer existence and sets an expectation in these areas that the queer community is welcome and that hateful acts will not be tolerated. And yes, these hateful acts happen here. Hateful acts can be institutional, like a councillor's anti-queer bias of derogatorily calling queer people a splinter group. And they can also be hidden under the guise of just following policy. The policy has not been in favor of queer people historically, and here's an excerpt from the Canadian Encyclopedia to prove it. Quote, in 1952, a new cabinet directive on security advised that security checks consider defects of character that might cause an employee to be indiscreet, dishonest, or vulnerable to blackmail. 3 years later, a more detailed directive reaffirmed this position. At the same time, the Canadian government prohibited 2S LGBTQ+ civil servants from all positions deemed too sensitive. This included positions in the military, the RCMP, and in foreign affairs. In 1956, the RCMP formed a character weakness unit. Its purpose was to scrutinize civil servants' backgrounds, and between the years of 1958 to 59, a person's sexuality was a primary focus of these security investigations. Beginning in 1959, the RCMP annually uncovered hundreds of confirmed, alleged, and suspected 2S LGBTQ+ employees in government departments and agencies. This included now low-level security offices as the Central Mortgage and Housing Corporation, the Department of Public Works, and the Unemployment Insurance Commission. By 1965 to 65, 6,000 2S LGBTQ+ employees, predominantly gay men, were on file with the RCMP. The next year, this number climbed to 7,500. By 1967 to 68, continued surveillance and collaboration with other police agencies brought this total number of files to 9,000. Only around 1/3 of these people were federal public servants. The RCMP security campaign continued until at least the 1980s and early 1990s, end quote. The institutional purging of civil and public servants from their governmental positions mean that you as public servants have an imperative to acknowledge this history and fly the pride flag in their honor. Beyond reconciliation for our queer elders, let's focus back to now and recognize real facts about the 2S LGBTQ+ community that affect us today. Deputy Mayor Lauren Royakers, I'm sure you're familiar with the following statistics as a registered psychotherapist, but I'll enlighten the rest of the council on these numbers available on the Canadian government's website. Quote, sexually and gender diverse youth were twice as likely to describe their mental health as poor, 33%, compared with other bullied youth populations, 16%. And twice as likely to consider taking their own lives, 27%, compared with the other bullied youth, 13%, end quote. I know this to be true from personal experience. Being called slurs in locker rooms that I definitely can't repeat here, being afraid to express my true self for fear of retaliation from my peers, And yes, believing my life would be easier if I killed myself rather than coming to terms with the kind of person I'm attracted to. I remember a time where I dreaded the drive to school on my East Ferris bus lines route, and knowing that I harbored a heavy and heartbreaking secret, one that I was worried would be found out any day. My thought patterns aboard the bus for 5 consecutive years, from middle school to the end of high school, was how I could kill myself so I didn't have to deal with coming out. My internalized shame and the homophobic rhetoric from my classmates pushed me deeper into the closet. I didn't have words to express myself in the way I do today. I didn't know who I could tell. I didn't know what I needed, and I didn't even know who I was. These days, I'm out and I'm proud and very much know who I am and what I needed as a child and what our children need now. I needed someone to extend kindness. I needed a public declaration that, yes, I am allowed to be the way I am. I needed a pride flag. The flag policy states the request must demonstrate that the cause is of benefit to and or supports residents of the municipality and or relates to an important event taking place in the municipality. 4.4% of our 4,946 population means that there are 217 other individuals who this would directly support. I provided hard evidence of why this would support the residents of East Ferris. To reconcile discriminatory historical policies. To provide hope to a demographic disproportionately affected by bullying and suicide, to set a precedent of acceptance and solidarity in our community, and to end up on the right side of history. Refusing a month-long flag flying hurts some of the most vulnerable people in our community. Now more than ever, the 2S LGBTQ+ community, and in particular, our trans brothers and sisters, need to know that their community supports them. Councillor Steve Trahan, I understand that you're concerned that a month-long flying could cause disruption within the municipality. Is a kid who was called slurs by their classmate not disruptive? Is a trans teen who's bullied to the point of suicide not disruptive? Is a person submitting a delegation to advocate for queer rights in a rural community not disruptive? You can't tell the line between allying with the 2S LGBTQ+ community and also appease a theoretical population that could be upset by it. I think suicidal queer individuals are a more pressing concern than getting a few snarky, nothing better to do emails that are titled, "What about straight pride?" I'm not asking you to take personal accountability for the federal legislation of purged civil and public servants from their jobs. I'm not asking you to single-handedly make queer kids less suicidal. I'm asking you to do what's within your power. Permitting a 30-day flag flying is within your power. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Again, our pilot policy is we can't really discuss again the 25th, I believe is next time it comes up, right?
The policy itself,
Yeah.
the policy could be discussed, but a request to raise the flag for 30 days. It's 12 months, which is
12 months.
which is next May.
So, as far as like, is anyone questions or I think we're good? Thank you for the information and we'll take it up and discuss it when time comes up again.
Thank you for,
Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you.
It was a great presentation, by the way. And for the record, I couldn't be there. I made it perfectly clear that I was in court that day on video, so. Thank you. Okay, public committee reports. Public Works Infrastructure Committee. I don't think there is anything. Oh, the only thing I can talk about is the paving, I believe is all done on Village Road. I don't know if it's done on Gruge Road yet or not. I didn't go there and I think it's coming up in another week.
Yeah, it's not done yet.
Yeah.
And Village still has a little bit of work, but it's in internal staff.
Internal staff.
Contractors done their work.
Okay. And then you had the usual problems, the beavers. Again, there's an issue here on Boyer Road. Antoine's getting a hold of OVR. That's what's holding all the water all the way back to the DeVoe property. And I spoke to Mrs. DeVoe on it already. Got a hold of OVR. He's also got a hold of NTO. There's a problem on Johnson Road too with the culvert. So it's an ongoing thing. At some point, the province has got to step up and do something. I know we go back to what Don Champagne used to say, they're provincial beavers, so it's their problem. But the problem is it backs up onto the landowners and people have to realize that their property, they're in charge of their property. So if something happens on their 100 acres and there's a dam and they don't take care of it, and there's a problem and municipal property gets damaged or private property gets damaged, they're liable for it, so. I think Don Quinn was getting the letter ready, I think, just to give to the landowners if something did come up again, that they would get the letter, and that's all we can do every year. And it's the time of the year that it happens, right?
That may be a delegation that we had at Roma or Good Roads. Like, you know, every time these conferences come up, we think of ideas for delegations, but that's one. Beavers are a problem annually, right?
Yeah. If I may, there's two issues. One is, there's also two dams on Lake Wisconsin Road that right by the overhead trestle. The other thing is, we tried to run a seminar on liabilities. This is going back 8, 10, 12 years ago. And there were so many legal opinions about it, who the liabilities were. I believe one of the provincial mandates were that if a dam broke on your property, it wasn't properly maintained, you could be liable for damages downstream.
Yep.
But there were so many legal opinions, but across Northern Ontario, we couldn't believe how many people responded and wanted to come to the seminar. But there was no definitive answer to the problem, and it's a problem everywhere. Because the price of beaver skins, and anybody who knows the trapping is not easy to do for a living, so. The market is low for demand as far as beaver pelts go, and it's hard work, so there's not a hell of a lot of reward at the end of the tunnel. Makes it tough. So we've got an excess. They say there's more beavers now than there were when Europeans first arrived to do trapping, so. Anyway.
It was at the arena, and it was called a cemetorium, oh, what was it called? Manitorium, or I forget what they called. Symposium. Yeah, because the Minister of Natural Resources came and they weren't much help.
They were not.
No, they
No.
just basically talked in circles and basically at the end of the day, you're responsible for your property.
Exactly, yeah. Anyway, no, just two comments, thank you.
Yeah, nothing under roads, Deputy Mayor? No. Okay. Emergency Management Program Committee? Nothing this time. Fire and Emergency Services?
Nothing.
Or no? Okay. Planning and Advisory Committee?
No, we've got a meeting coming up next, no,
Next week.
next week. It's one of these times, yes. But it's starting to get busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were having one or two items, and we've got 2 or 3 now, and we got a big one coming up as well. So.
Good. Committee of Adjustments?
Next week.
Next week also, okay.
Yeah,
Recreation, Parks and Rec and Culture?
The meeting's in July. July 15th.
Writing Committee? Nothing at this time. Board reports, Library Board, minutes from June the 3rd.
So that was our last meeting for the summer, and meeting in September. Flea market was a great success. They had lots of table sales, and people really liked it. And we had any flat surface art donated dollars, the proceeds of their art is sold at market to the library. So that was a great donation. The trade show, the library board really wanted to thank council and the municipality for allowing them to be at the trade show. It is a great place for them to show many people what they do. They showcase the library of things. And so with their different events, they created flow through the library, so more people visiting the library and showing that it's a great center in our community. The program coordinator went around and met with small businesses to promote library services, and they are interviewing for the summer students. So they got funding, which is really great for the summer student to do the summer programming. And that's a great way to engage our youth and our young people throughout the summer. And so we're really looking forward to the new summer student. The volunteer portal is really successful. They have brought back out the paddleboard for loan, and it's only a loan for the day. And you must be 18 and be a member to loan it out. So, and have a life jacket. So you're responsible for that. Lots of different great programming going on. So acrylic pouring. So this is an art where they pour acrylic and move it around and create beautiful works of art. Music for Tots, indoor plant swap, the walking club on Tuesday, and pickleball drop-in for anyone who's 10 plus. And they also wanted to thank you, Mayor Champagne, for mentioning the library in your interview. And they were really appreciative of having that showcased. So thank you. So that's everything.
No, even during the interview, when I was speaking to Mr. Dale and Chris, they couldn't believe what we do with our library. It just, you've never seen that before, and how Jennifer has done and her staff and the board. So it was a no-brainer to talk about it, and it was fairly easy. Not that I spent a lot of time at the library, but being proud of the library is a good thing. Yeah. Any questions for Deputy Mayor? No, see none. OPP detachment draft minutes, May 22nd. Yes, you would. A couple of issues.
Yes, Mayor Champagne will be sworn into the board at our next meeting, so he was not at our last meeting. Just wanted to make a quick note that the statistics that were received in your agenda package, not the correct statistics, ones that they were provided, the statistics that the OPP provided were from the wrong municipality. So as soon as we have those right stats, we will make sure to forward them your way.
You will have it on our website, or how is that gonna?
Yeah, I'll put them on the next meeting agenda, just so everyone is able to have a look at them, and then they'll be included in the minutes as well.
Okay, no problem. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, any other questions about the OPP? No, okay. Castle Home, DSAP, Health Unit, and North Bay Federal Conservation Authority. Anything,
I have a meeting tomorrow night.
we'll talk about that part there, and it'll be your last meeting.
Yeah.
DCAP, I've got a meeting coming up 2 weeks from now. But it's, the problem with North Bay is basically city centric, but they're ongoing. I mean, there's got the opioid, the homelessness. And the problem is, doesn't matter where you put shelters, you're gonna be you're within 3 or 4 blocks proximity to schools and children, so. But the mayor and mayor of North Bay and a number of other people that are on the DSAP board are also on the police services board, and they're instructing the police chief and the board see eye to eye on as far as making sure there's officers available servicing those areas. So Councilor Grant could comment on that if he wishes, but it's ongoing. I mean, it's just, there's nothing you can do other than just make sure someone's there to help out. That's the problem.
I have a meeting tomorrow morning at 9:30 with DSAP, with the CEO.
Okay.
Get me up to speed with what's been happening. So I agree with what you're saying in certain things, but also we have, daycare issues. We have other issues besides homeless people. And I understand it's critical, but on the other hand, we have issues here also. We'll pay for a year. We should be getting a little bit more bang for a dollar, at least.
And if I may, that's been brought up. I've brought that up on numerous occasions. And if you, I know there's a problem with early childhood education simply because of shortage of instructors and teachers. And I believe there's funding available, and I know DCAP at the last meeting, funding come up. So hopefully the CEO of District Social Services would have the department heads there so they can go over some of the funding. And if you come back with information for council, that'd be ideal.
Well, in the package, you see they're bragging about the money they're giving out. Well, let's see where it's going, because it's not coming our way. I know it's going to a needy place, but we also need childcare is also very important. I did talk about that in the podcast. I said that's my biggest thing to look at childcare, and they took it as us as council. But so even discussing that part of it, how far do we want to go with this as council? Do you want me to take a look at it and come back with some options and what's available out there, and privatize or municipal or shared, or you have to look at stakeholders and see what's available out there and bring back to council. And at that time, if you wish, again, I can't make a decision. You guys have to give me direction, but I think childcare is very important. I think we should do what we can to bring it forward. I know we've talked about it a couple of years past, but our municipality is getting bigger. The families are getting more families. Younger generations are moving in. We need to do something. So that's just my opinion.
It was an interesting board report about the daycare, because you've got two different funding streams, right? It seems like you've got one that could be for a new build, or you could have renovations, but it's also, as you've mentioned, right, the ECEs, like I was talking to the principal at Saint Thomas,
Come on.
yeah, and Decline, and, you know, he's going, we've got spaces, we just cannot get somebody out here. And so it's really looking, another side of this is affordable housing, so that people who are not, you know, who, ECEs are not making a huge amount of money, and to pay for gas to come from North Bay to East Ferris is a lot for them. So, you know, how can we make it affordable here in East Ferris so we can get a variety of people that do a variety of jobs, right? So it's a complicated issue, but it is important, right? So,
There's gaps. We just don't know how to fill them.
right,
And it's the very important thing where you just mentioned is staffing. Well, you can't have a daycare if you don't have the staffing.
right,
So you have to pay enough for the staffing, which is paid by the province or DSAP. Here's your allocated amounts.
right.
That's got to change. That's what I was speaking about. No, homelessness is one thing, but let's put money towards where it's also needed.
Mhm.
And they seem to be forgetting that little piece of the pie. That's just my opinion. So.
Yeah.
And I'll have the discussion tomorrow.
So in the community safety and well-being package that part of it, there was this, a note in there, and I have it, is that we were going to have sort of a business plan put together. Do you remember that? No? Okay.
I wasn't on the original meeting for that.
So anyways, not to put anybody on the spot, so I don't want to, but it was, where was it?
I think it's the last page.
I have to find it. Anyways, and I was kind of going, oh, did we do that? So it was sort of,
We did kind of a business case. We tried to find out what was available out there. You had meetings and we put public into the public, right? Remember? Private, I should say private.
Staff worked on it because it was a strat plan item to advocate for childcare services in East Ferris. We hit a wall with it though. There was no committee that was set up or a working group or,
okay.
so that's not been done.
Okay, because it just says by June 2023, collaborate with DSAP and local primary schools to complete a business case.
No.
Okay. I didn't think so, and then I was looking for it and I thought, okay. Anyways, so it is important, and I think it is important to do a business case, because you have to look at, we could build something, but if we don't have the ECEs and we can't recruit and retain them here, then you don't want to put up a building and then it's empty, right?
Well, exactly. That's the wall that Jason's talking about. You know, you hit certain points into the process to go, well, we can't go any further. We can't get staffing. You're telling us here at the local schools that we've got capacity, but we don't have the staff to work it. So if we build a new building, are we going to get the staff to do it? Somebody in the private sector are going to build a new building to make it happen if they can't get the staff. So that's meeting what I'm going to have tomorrow and find out what we can do here and to speed the process. And maybe it's one of these cases where maybe there should be a motion sent out to all the municipalities around, say, listen, we've got an issue here, but DSAP is holding the money, but can we not fight as a group, send something to our ministers and say, we need this? And fighting in numbers instead of just fighting with the DSAP. It's not their fault because their hands are tied. But if we go to the source, which is the ministry, enough people do it, then maybe something will happen.
We had a motion, like the first session that I was in, right? And it was about paying ECEs $25 an hour. And that was quite popular, right? And to the point where I went down to EDCO to be on a board to sort of talk about perspective of and how important it is to pay.
But I think and for that reason, I think it's important to start talks now. I know we've been talking about it for a while, but I think it's time to put our foot down, put the line in the sand. Say, okay, we need this. So how can we go forward? Sure.
If I may, I also think it's important that we not get involved in the operations of the childcare, but because DSAP is already doing a lot of work in that area in other communities, so I think it's important that, I mean, I'm personally, and I've always been advocating, I know council has as well, that for the money we pay, which is about $1.5 million to DSAP, it'd be nice to have something to show for it, quite frankly, other than just ambulance. I know the two, the nurseries is on either side of the municipality, but if we have space available, if they could find someone and subsidize someone that's qualified to come out and do, 2 or 3 individuals, because it's necessary. I mean, we need it. I know in Ashtabula, there's a number of young families moved in the last 7, 8 years, so, and they're continuing to grow, so it's important.
Nick, do you have anything to say, or you're just gonna?
No,
Very good.
Trey, there's more that like there's lots of families here. I see on the post it said all the time, right? Looking for childcare, looking for, summer care. It's not available. So yeah, if there's room at Ashtabula at the school, then, if you're going to DSAP, we should see what we can do funding wise or.
Well, they come up with different criteria too, like we talked about the school, they talk also, but they need a daycare, they need, also need a park for the kids to play in, has to be fenced off. There's certain criteria they put you in, you kind of tie your hands up, that location is not good enough, but what is good enough? What can you do for us, right? I guess what I'm looking from everybody here is to make sure that I've got not your blessing, but give directions to, we can start and talk to stakeholders and see what we can come up with. So I don't know if I need a motion for that or not, but.
I think it's just direction myself, but I think it's just direction.
I wonder if there's like other areas, like you think of Berks Falls or, other kind of rural communities like us, do they have that, are they successful or not, right? Because
Yep.
I think it is province wide. When I was talking to people about it at this panel, I mean, down in Niagara region, I said, well, we have like 140 people on the wait list. And I thought that was pretty amazing. She goes, we have 25,000 people on the wait list. Like it is the province wide, maybe the Canadian wide issue. So, yeah.
But again, we'll see what we can find out, but maybe it's one of those things we can talk about again, see, getting a motion sent out to other municipalities and saying, you're tying the hands up with DSAP. You got to loosen the strings up so the municipalities can get their fair share especially for childcare. So I'll do that and I'll start getting answers by the next meeting. If there's anything in the meantime to come up, maybe we have a special meeting. I can see something come up that's important, which I'm sure we can call a special meeting, take a look at it. Okay. That was DSAP Health Unit. Our budget, our final statements are in there. So if you have any questions, pretty well straightforward. We're not sitting there healthy, but we're in good shape.
Good.
North Bay Conservation Authority, same thing. Okay, Castle District Nipissing Social Service Administration minutes from April 23rd.
They mentioned any,
Yep.
yeah. Did they mention anything about your advocacy group?
No. But
That was when? Apologize.
I don't want to bite my lip, but they're looking into what's happening. There is the mayor from North Bay is looking into it, and he was getting information out, and he was talking to obviously the ministers, and their staffing is just getting into place now. But still, I want to push on and say, hey, we need application here. So. Anything else on the minutes? Okay. North Bay Parasol Health Unit financial statements. Obviously, we've looked at them. Castle Home, we've discussed it. Except we just got our bill coming in today, basically what we're told we're going to pay, but it's less than.
It's an estimate.
It's an estimate. So again, I think we're flying off the seat of the pants. That's just my opinion, until we know exactly what's going on. And we'll to stay on it anyway, and we'll come back to you unless somebody else has a question for Castle Home. Okay. Department, Greg Curtin. Plan 2025-4.
Right. Good evening, council, and congratulations, Councilor Brazo. So I'm before you tonight to talk about a tender opening process that we completed for the roof replacement project at the East Ferris Community Center and Arena, specifically over the curling club. So this is directly related to the NOHFC grant application that we jointly applied for with the Nosbitsing Curling Club. So the scope of work that was initially included in the NOHFC application was to replace the roof over the curling club. It's dated. There's a number of places in the curling club where it's leaking. Once you get to a point where a roof is this age, especially membrane roofing, it's very difficult to replace, or not replace, but repair. We've had kind of multiple attempts patching it up, but not really, I guess, done as well as we had hoped. So part of the project is to repair the roof in addition to all of the work that's happening inside. In the tender process, so we released the tender at the start of May, and then we did a site visit on May 8th with three contractors, and all three of those submitted bids for the tender. Those were Fitzgerald and Sons, Design Roofing, and Blanchfield Roofing. We'd initially budgeted 120,000 as an anticipated cost for the entire project. When we did the tender, we'd separated into a base bid, which would be just for the curling club portion, and then additional portions for larger sections of the roof. Although we didn't anticipate necessarily being able to do the whole roof, we didn't expect the overall bids to come in as high as they did. And if the pricing had been better, we might have looked at doing an additional portion of the roof. Just logistically, it makes sense to do it all if you can. Ultimately, the base bids came in with the lowest being Fitzgerald and Sons at $147,000, which is obviously higher than our anticipated 120. There's a few factors for that. One is just inflation and difference in pricing, potential, market fear related to tariffs and other increased costs. Another, which is probably the major component, is based on the architectural review. So our preparation for this tender was to work with John Weinhardt from Mitchell Jensen Architects, and we had him prepare the entire scope of work and the technical details of the tender document. And through that review that John did, he identified that there was an additional layer of overlay board that had to go on underneath the membrane roofing, and that was an unanticipated part of the scope of work, which really drove the price up. So we looked at ways to maybe do some cost savings. It's not really possible given the material, the spec, and the architectural review, and given there's really just the overlay board and the membrane, and then finishing work. Despite the difference in costs, we do think that the pricing is fair and reasonable based on what we should expect for this. The reason I say that is all three bidders were within about 11% of each other. So it's not like we had one bidder that was way low, one was way high. They were all close. So that kind of tells me that what we asked for, we are getting appropriate pricing on. So I think given that this is a critical component of our NOHFC application with the curling club, and given the roof really is starting to fail, I don't think we really have much of an option but to make it work and go ahead with the project. So for that reason, the recommendation that I put forward was to approve the bid by Fitzgerald and Sons at $147,985. The one additional thing that I didn't mention that I will say is that we did build a $15,000 contingency into the original budget. And when we put the tender out, we asked the bidders to include that $15,000 contingency in their total price. So the actual cost of the work is actually $132,985. And then that 15,000 contingency is just the buffer on top, which obviously we may use, and that's the point of it. But I just thought it was important to note that the actual value of the work is lower than 147,000.
Just a note, when you talk about the membrane, he matched the membrane that's on the main building. That's why he changed the scope of work as far as the membrane goes, right?
It's not the same membrane, no. No, it's a different membrane that was spec'd for that flatter section, and it's heavier. It's got a texture to it. It's specifically for that area.
Just gonna remember what we had talked about.
Yeah.
Any other discussions?
So the other two areas, they holding up? Area B and C.
So they're holding up. We don't have a definite timeline. I don't want to put a specific year value on it because we didn't ask for a direct report from Mitchell Jensen Architects on it. But anecdotally, from being up on the roof and having, informal chats, I would say somewhere in the 5 to 10 year range, until we're getting to a point where it definitely needs to be replaced.
But we had our engineering look at we did a roof 5 years, I think it is. We have an engineer who goes up and looks at our arena, our roof. No, we used to at one time.
Years ago, we've had the roof redone though inside the arena, so the major concern was already remediated. That was a few years ago now. We spent $900,000 in the trusts, right?
Yeah, I remember Bill Bryant used to be 5 years or something. Take a look. That's what was the last time the engineering was done on it? I guess
Bill Bryant's last
Bill
report,
Bryant's report.
but Bryant's report had suggested that we shovel the roof off when it got to a certain snow load. That doesn't have to be done anymore because we redid the roof. So.
Again, that's why I was trying to answer the question for Deputy Mayor. That When's the last time I was an engineer? So we have an idea.
Yeah. Internally, what our thoughts is, we know rough values now that we can put in an NOHFC application. I mean, they partially funded the interior roof truss system for us. So that means we go ahead to NOHFC and apply for. The fact that they rented money once part of the roof, they're in the business of doing roofs. So I mean, it could be something we package together for our next application.
Because I know I applied for Hockeyville last year and I said I'd stand back for 1 year because we put our focus on Trout Creek and unfortunately they didn't get it either, but I'll be bringing that back up again. So. Okay, any other questions? No, Barry? Okay. Thank you, Greg. I guess we have a motion. Bert?
Second, we're killing. Oh, sorry.
Name on there somewhere.
That council for the municipality of East Ferris accepts the recommendation of the Director of Community Services in report number plan 2025. Towards the tender for the partial roof replacement at the East Ferris Community Center related to J.G. Fitzgerald and Sons Limited in the amount of $146,985 plus HST, and then council directs staff to proceed.
Discussion on the motion. Favors read, carried. Greg report. Bylaws, none of the session, notice motion, none of the session, correspondence and items. Deputy Mayor?
13C, recognition that June is also Seniors Month. And then I guess F, we have a party going on.
I think she puts one on annually.
Annual
Yes.
family function.
Yeah.
Just good that we should let our neighbors know and like that. So we, do we need a motion for that or just?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go through everybody the motion after, or you want to do that? Okay, is that the only one that's had? Okay. Steve? Oh, sorry, Terry.
Okay, no, I'm fine. I'm good.
Steve? Good, thank you. Sure.
Right.
Mr. Russell. Now you got me now. Yes, you're good? Okay, communications, Reliant Police Service Board, Police Unit, Perry Sound, supporting ethics through access. Good. Okay, motions?
You're okay for those two? Okay. We move her in a second for the first motion, please. Councilor Braza. Deputy Mayor Ryder. Whereas June is Seniors Month in Ontario, and whereas this year's theme is Fit, Active, and Healthy Seniors, highlighting the importance of supporting our older adults through programs and initiatives that promote wellness, social engagement, and education. And whereas the municipality of East Ferris remains a strong ambassador for seniors' health and wellness, now therefore be it resolved that the Council for the Municipality of East Ferris declares June as Seniors Month in East Ferris.
Discussion on the motion? Papers read? Carried. F.
Brandon, seconder for the motion, please. Mayor Royackers. Councillor Trahan. Sorry, I have the wrong one. Whereas Joanne Rogers has made a request to the municipality for an exemption under section 4 of municipal bylaw 2015-33, a bylaw to prohibit excessive noise. And whereas Joanne Rogers' request, the exemption would only apply from Friday, September 5th, 2025 at 11 p.m. to Sunday, September 7th, 2025 at 2 a.m. for the purpose of a backyard family reunion to be held at 747 Derwent Road. Be it hereby resolved that Council for the Municipality of East Ferris approves the request received from Joanne Rogers and grants an exemption of municipal bylaw 2015-33 for Friday, September 5th through Sunday, September 7th at the times listed above.
Just a quick question on here, they do fireworks and that they're supposed to let the neighbors know and all that if fireworks are shut off.
And they gotta follow the fireworks bylaw.
Okay,
Yes.
right. Any discussions on the motion? Papers read? Carried. Approval of correspondence?
Move bring a secretary, please. Kelly. And Councilor Krasil. Council approves correspondence and information as circulated with the agenda of June 10th, 2025.
Discussion on the motion? Papers read? Carried. All right, boards and committee up. Motion to amend council seats on various boards and committees.
Would you like me to table the motion before this?
Sure. Do it that way.
Move in a seconder, please. Councilor Brazo and Councilor Kelly. Whereas Council for the Municipality of East Ferris appointed a member of council to a vacant seat on June 10th, 2025. And whereas a result of said appointment, council deems it expedient to reorganize the appointment of members to certain boards and committees. Now therefore be it resolved that the following members of council be appointed to the following boards and committees for the remainder of the council term. Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, we will have Mayor Champagne, who is the current chair, remain in the chair's position, along with Councillor Brazo acting as the vice chair. The Parks, Recreation and Culture Committee, we are looking at Councillor Trahan, North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority, Deputy Mayor Royackers. And further that all other appointments to boards and committees remain.
Reasoning of Rutland Roads is, with the issues going on in the Conservation Authority and that seemed to have somebody there that's been part of the group, and I think it's be a lot easier instead of going in blind. I think it'd be a lot better working with myself and municipality, and you get to see what's happening. Councilor Trahan had suggested he goes to Parks and Rec.
Sure.
He's sports minded in a lot of ways. And Deputy Royackers, she's very involved in our rivers and safe waters, and she puts a lot of effort into it, and I think it'd be a perfect fit for her.
You'll learn a lot about roads and East Ferris. More than maybe you want to know. No, I'm just kidding. Good.
Sorry.
Yeah. Everybody will say, I have potholes.
Okay, favors read, carried. Full of accounts payable.
Bring a seconder, please. And Councilor Brazo. The council approved the general accounts for the municipality of East Ferris as indicated in the check register dated June 10th, 2025 in the amount of $579,342.
Know why it's so high? Because USAB is in there. Discussion on the motion. Read. Carried. Other business. Anybody have any other business?
There's none.
There's none. In camera, we don't have anything. Confirmation or confirmatory bylaw.
Mover and a seconder, please. Mr. Brazel, Councillor Kelly. As the council for the municipality of East Ferris seems it expedient to pass 3 readings following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council from May 28th, 2025 to June 10th, 2025, be read a first, second, and third time, pass the number 2025-35, and that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the clerk and sealed with the seal of the probation.
Discussion on the motion. Favors read. Carried. Herman.
Bernice, please. Put your hands. We do now adjourn at 6:05 PM to meet again on July 8th, 2025.
Discussion on the motion. Read. Carried. Thank you very much for everybody